y'all, it's me, Alex. It's been a while, hasn't it? Yeah, I know in my last video I promised, I'm totally not gonna take like another month plus in between my uploads. But yeah, I goofed. I am a member of the goof troop. I yucked up, as I have been saying in my brain for a bit. So, firstly, to address where I've been. I fully intended on like making a lot more time where I can film and edit and have a wonderful time, and really devote myself to my craft of making videos and doing makeup and talking about knitting and all of that stuff. But now it's 10 o'clock on a Monday night in the middle of May. And how do we get here? Well, I think around my last one, we had adopted Jacques, our new kitty, who is lovely. And I had also recently been to the emergency room. I'm fine now. Then, Holy Week happened. Firstly, I work in a church, so end of Lent, Holy Week, Easter is always kind of a very lot time. Maundy Thursday, had to take Jacques to the emergency vet after worship that night. He's fine now. He gets wet food for the rest of his life. He could have just said something if he wanted that, but he didn't. Yeah, and then, let's see, Easter happened. My dad was visiting. That was lovely. That was a great time, actually. My birthday happened, which was also great. We went to the Frederick Fiber Festival for my birthday, which was wonderful, and I will show you some of my recent acquisitions from there in this video. So that was lovely. Everything was going good. And then we had to take one of our sugar gliders to the emergency vet because his eye was all swollen. He's like almost, that was like, let's see, about 2 weeks ago. He's almost 100% healed now. Like he just has a little bit more swelling to go down and he's gonna be fine. Yeah, and then I also went to New York for a wedding. It was fun. I'm chronically ill and all of that fun stuff. I just haven't had the time to sit down and film in the way that I would like to, because I like to be a little bit more myself when I film, and I'm trying. And this summer I anticipate, you know, feeling a little more like myself, especially because my job is like, one, we're closing on Fridays, which is great. So that's like a mandatory kind of day off self-care practice, and my boss was very adamant about me like actually taking vacation and practicing self-care. We have our staff retreat tomorrow and it's gonna be all about self-care. So I'm going to have more time to do the things that I would like to do, and I'm going to make the time to do the things that I would like to do, and it's gonna be great. So that's where I've been. If you made it this far, hi. Thank you. It's like 4 minutes now. If this is your first video for me, wow. You made it through 4 minutes of me talking about my life, which you don't care about at all, to listen to me talk about like my yarn and knitting, because this is going to be a knitting podcast episode. Wow. Thank you. Hi, that's really awesome of you. I'm glad you're here. My name's Alex. My pronouns are they and them, and I have a lot of animals. 3 cats, 4 sugar gliders, and I love them all, but apparently they all have emergencies all at once. I like to knit and I like to do makeup, and I'm going to talk about the knitting part of all of this today, and it'll be great. So let's get into the Alchemist Knitting Podcast episode 2. Let's start with some finished objects. So the last time I talked with y'all, I was working on my ripple crop top from Jessie Mae Designs, and I finished it, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. This is how it looks. So it's kind of hard to see like that here's a V and here's that, because also the lighting in this video is going to be super weird, as you can guess. This isn't changing. But I love how it turned out. There's still a few more ends to weave in, but I've also like already worn it like 3 times, and I haven't just weaved in that. I've just kind of like, well, I've weaved in most of the ends. The rest I've just kind of left to like tuck in as I wear it. So I made this, I believe, in the extra large. Usually in Jessie Mae's Designs, I'm between a large and an extra large. And so this one, I'm pretty certain I made the extra large just because I wanted it to be a little longer. And still, I followed like the instructions and I added like an extra 3 inches to it. And I think it's just something about the way that I'm shaped with her designs, because I've made a couple of her other stuff in the past, and I've always noticed her designs are a little bit short on me. So I was kind of hoping that this would be like a full length top for me to wear to like work and stuff. It very much isn't. It is definitely still too short for the way that I'm shaped in order for it to be like a work appropriate top, but it's still really cute and I like it a lot and I'm still wearing it all the time. So I'm really happy with it, with like how it turned out otherwise. And I thought the pattern was pretty simple and like very beginner friendly, but also I think it has like a lot of nice details to it. Like I love how, I'm trying to see if you can really see it, but I love how like the ribbing kind of goes up around the collar and stuff, and it just like looks really nice. So I think in the future I'm probably going to make this in like a solid. I mentioned this in the last knitting podcast, but I made this in the Ridiculous Yarns Joker DK in Tiki Bar. And I overbought the yarn because I didn't know what I wanted to make with it, only that I wanted to make some sort of top. And I was anticipating like maybe making it into, you know, a long sleeve sort of situation, but then I ended up making this and it was great. But now I have a whole bunch left over and I'm trying to like work through like all of it, but also I want to like do other projects with other colors of yarn. So I still have like a skein of it left and it's all wound up. So I'm thinking I might make something for my mom out of this for Christmas because these are also definitely colors that she would like. But anyway, my other idea that I think I'm going to do with all of the sweaters that I end up making for myself. I knitted, so I need to weave in the ends of this too, but I knitted a cat-sized sweater version of this top, and I'm going to make Goose wear it while I wear this and get some cute pictures. I'm not going to force Ivy into this, and I mean, Jacques been here a couple months now, and I love him very much, but I don't think that he's a sweater cat, and I really like to remain in his good graces. So I think Goose is kind of the only one that I could really force into wearing a matching sweater with me. So I made him this. It's really, really cute. It's just like a little rib sweater. I need to weave in the ends and get some cute photos with him, but I think it's just gonna be absolutely adorable. Yeah, it's pretty much just like a standard sort of like ribbed little sweater. But I'm thinking, honestly, for any scrap yarn that I have left over from any of my knitting projects, I'm gonna make him matching sweaters with me. He's probably gonna hate me for it, but like, he's my boy, so he's going to have to deal with it. And then I made a little bibbit object because two of our friends from seminary, Liv and Rick, had a bibbit, and I still need to send this to them, but I also need to weave in the end, so I'm going to do that soon. But I made this little garment. It's called the Shire cloak, and it looks like this. How cute is this? I need to like, so I bought a button. I just need to add it up here. I think I did this part wrong, but it doesn't look bad, so I'm just going to say that I did it right. And it has this cute little hood. I used leftover yarn from the sweater that I made for Case for Christmas. I kind of did this little effect here mostly because I was running out of the beige color and I still had a lot more to go. But I really love how this turned out. Like, it's so cute, and I love the like detail on it, and like look at the cute little hood with the fun little cable going around the side. It's gonna be so cute and like so wintry for little baby. Oh, I love it. I'm so happy with this, and I'm kind of glad that I got to use up some yarn that I had been meaning to use up for a bit. So those are my FOs at the moment. So then I'll do whips and yarn acquisitions, and then I've also been watching a lot of other knitting podcasts, and I'm just gonna shout out. It's gonna be great. Yeah. Okay, so my main whip at the moment, I talked in my last one about my newspaper sweater, and I've made some serious progress on it. I know that I said that I would have it done by my birthday. I definitely did not, because once again, I overestimated how quickly I can knit in brioche fingering weight, but I'm still like doing pretty well, and I'm almost finished with one of the sleeves. So like, I'm just going to say that I'm going to do it by my vacation in the middle of June. That's what I'm going to say. That's my claim, but don't hold me to it. I just want to give myself a deadline to be finished with this by. That way I don't like drag it on and on and on forever, because you know I will. Okay, let me actually show this to you. Sorry for the creaky chair. So I'm gonna hold the balls of yarn here. This is a black fingering weight yarn that I don't know, and then the colorful is the Lana Grossa sock yarn and Samosa. It's a limited edition one, but I bought like 3 skeins of it like separately. So anyway, so here I finished the body of the sweater, and I'm super happy with how it turned out. And you can definitely kind of like look in the details and see, I would say like my improvement when it comes to brioche knitting, because obviously I started at the top and you can see that the stitches are like sort of uneven, but like as I go along it becomes like a lot more even and all of that, and it's been really nice. So I'm almost finished with sleeve number 1. And I'm really, really excited about it. Mostly just because I really want to have this finished. I took a break from it for a minute. Like I started this early to mid-February. And like, you know, when you're just like making something and you've been making it for so long and like looking at it for so long that you're just kind of like, is what I'm making like actually kind of ugly? I had a few of those moments just because this, like, I don't actually think that, but I was just simply looking at this for so long as my, like, one knitting project every single day, every single hour of my free time I was devoting to this. And I love it, and it's going to be so great for winter. I know exactly how I'm going to style it, know exactly how I'm going to wear it. But I was definitely starting to wonder, like, is this actually just, like, huh? It's not. I took a break from it to make those projects and start another one that I'm going to show you after this. So like I've come to the conclusion that no, I love this. It's going to look fantastic, but I had to take a break from it because I was wondering if it was going to be ugly and gross. And also just knitting in brioche fingering weight for the amount of time that it takes to make a sweater like this. And I have joint problems, especially in my fingers. Yeah, it's also kind of painful. So I have one other project going that I'll show you all in a minute that is in a worsted weight yarn. That's a nice little break for my fingers here. But I'm super happy with how this is turning out. So after this, I need to do the other sleeve, obviously, and then make a little collar around here, and then I'm gonna be finished with it. And I think that's going to be great. I definitely have a few spots that I will need to sort of like fix up in the sewing, because as I was like picking up things around the sleeves, I don't 100% understand how to pick up stitches in brioche yet and like make it connect as well as I would standard knitting. So I'm just going to, like, in the little holes that kind of appeared, because I don't know how to do that properly, I'm going to just sew that up when I'm like weaving in all my ends and stuff. But I've also come to the conclusion that I really like making top-down raglan sweaters, because I realized that like I used to make sweaters like piece by piece when I was kind of like originally learning how to knit and like when I was in high school and all that. And I know how to do that, but I don't enjoy it because I don't like the sewing it all together. So a top-down raglan is really, really nice, just so like I don't have to do that. So there's minimal sewing. And I've been doing a whole lot of the weave in Steven technique as well, to make sure that all that is together. So I don't know if I'm gonna end up having any leftover yarn of this to make Goose a sweater, so he might not get a little brioche sweater. Also, I don't know if I can translate the cat sweater pattern I used into a brioche sweater. I know that Stephen West is likely going to be coming out with like some dog sweaters, and one of them is probably going to be in brioche, because I've been watching his YouTube channel like a lot, because he's like one of my favorite designers because of all the color and pattern and stuff. And one of his dogs is named Brioche, Brioche and Stitch. His dogs are so cute. But since those are like, I think those are like French bulldogs, they can probably translate decently well size-wise to like a cat, because like Goose is about 17 pounds. Goose might be more like 20 pounds now. Anyway, but a big cat would probably be around the size of like a full-grown French bulldog, at least not necessarily in terms of poundage, but in terms of like sweater size. So if I have any leftovers from this, I will save it to make a little brioche sweater for Goose, because obviously we need to match all the time, whether he wants to or not. We do have a sweatshirt for him. It's a Christmas sweatshirt. It says "I believe in Santa Paws" on it. It's super cute. It's from the Love is Love Pet Boutique in Baltimore here, which is a store all for like animal lovers and like pride stuff, which they market to my demographic specifically. It's great. He does enjoy it. I joke, but it's just because you don't expect a cat to like being in a sweater. But he's gonna look so good in all his sweaters, and we're gonna match so well, and it's gonna be so good. Okay, so let me show y'all my next whip. Actually, it's my only other whip at this point because I'm trying to be fairly monogamous. Well, it's not my only whip, I just haven't faced some music when it comes to fixing my shawlography just yet. Because I know I need to do that, but I am afraid, and my anxiety has just like been high in general a lot recently, and I kind of feel like I don't need to necessarily add that to my anxiety pile. We don't talk about that shawl, no. We don't talk about that shawl. I bought this yarn. This is the Lion Brand Woolies yarn. I don't remember the color names. I have the labels in another room, but I just wanted to show y'all that real quick. I'm making the Great Gingham Raglan from Jessie Made, and I have this much of a sleeve finished just because this is like actually, for a color work pattern, a pretty quick knit, but I've been just really focused on getting my newspaper sweater finished, so I've only really been working on this when my hands get tired of the fingering weight and I want to do something a little bit thicker and a little bit more joint pain friendly. But I'm really excited. So this was originally intended for like a sport weight yarn, but I decided to not do that. Well, one, I wanted to make this a project that I make with like some cheap yarn, and I feel like the Lion Brand Woolies, even though like I think for all of the yarn we got total it was like 30 bucks, it still feels really nice, and I think like I'll probably have to wear a t-shirt under this when I finish it, just for my own sensory purposes, but I think overall this is like a good feeling cheap yarn. At least at like Michael's and Joann and stuff, it's kind of hard to find like sport weight yarns, so I figure if I just like went up a needle size and like just kind of did my swatching and making things that way. I'm still making this in an extra large just because like I want this to be like big and cozy sort of, and I am going to make this full length and not just like the crop that's the original one, because I really genuinely know that I will get the most use out of things that I can wear both to work and like in my everyday life. And while I wish that like crop tops were work appropriate, in today's society they are not, and I have a fairly casual wear what you want workplace anyway, so I know that I'll get use out of like big chunky colorful sort of knits for my work wardrobe, because I have like a couple of Lazy Oaf sweaters that I wear a lot during the winter to work and they make me feel really good, and so that's kind of how I want this to fit. But anyway, I'm really excited for how this is turning out. I love this plaid. This is a gay sweater, y'all. Like it's so cute. I love it. I'm really excited. I want to like knit more things in this print, not necessarily like immediately after I finish this, because I have a feeling by the time I finish this sweater, much like I'm going to take a break from brioche after I finish my newspaper sweater, I'm probably going to want to take a break from this like plaid color work stitch for a bit after I finish this sweater, just because it's gonna look really cute and it's very fun to make, but also just making a full sweater in any sort of print or detail is like a lot. But I do love how this is looking, and I think that this would translate well in general to like other color schemes and other garments. Like I know a lot of like the test knits and other stuff that I've seen on like Instagram and Ravelry of people who are making this have been doing it on like a lot of lighter colors, which I think is great. It's so cute for other people. I don't like light colors on me all that much, like at least not near my face. I feel like that works well for other people. It's not for me.
I think you look beautiful no matter what colors.
You're so sweet. You're obligated to say that. You're my partner.
I am not obligated to say anything that's not true. You are amazing. You are beautiful. Believe it. I love you.
I love you too. You're sweet. My partner's sweet and just the best human being on this planet. We get it. We get it. So those are my whips. Those are my works in progress. I have like a bunch of sweaters and things that I want to make. That I have saved to my Ravelry, and it's a problem because I want to have them all by like fall and winter of this year, but I know I'm not gonna make that. Oh well, let's talk about my yarn acquisitions before I talk about some of the sweater patterns and other patterns that I'm interested in. So I bought like a bunch of yarn on a whim from the recommendation of TL Yarn Crafts. Yes, she is a crochet channel. No, I don't crochet, but I love her yarn reviews, and I feel like if I wanted to learn how to crochet, because like, I take that back. I know objectively how to do basic crochet stitches. I do not understand how to follow crochet patterns whatsoever. I'm sure that I could probably learn, but I like how knitted garments sort of work out, at least for me personally. So I would probably like to learn to crochet at some point, because I know that you can make like cute little like amigurumi, I think is how you pronounce it, of like the little dolls and stuffed animals and stuff. I think that'll be fun. But in the meantime, I'm sticking to knitting because I have enough going on in my brain that I don't need to add like one more thing and make myself short circuit. Anyway, I was watching TL Yarn Crafts, and I was watching one of her yarn reviews, and so I bought a bunch of this Lion brand FOMO yarn because she was talking about it as like an inexpensive alternative to regular mohair, and that it was also really good like if you find regular mohair too itchy. And I would love to have something like in mohair. I bought like 11 of these because they were like $1, and I wanted to take advantage of that sale because I don't know if this is like a limited edition yarn or anything. So I wanted to take advantage, and I wanted to get enough for a sweater because each of these has like 328 yards of it, and I would like to knit a full mohair sweater in black. Yes, all of this is in black. Is there a specific shade of black? No, it's just called black. I just really wanted to try it because I would love something in mohair, but I also know like I'm very like sensory sensitive, and I don't know if I could necessarily stand a full mohair garment, but this is extremely soft, and it feels so nice, and I'm very excited to knit with it. Normally, like, I haven't knit with yarns like this in a very, very, very long time. Normally I just stick to your standard yarn with like really not a whole lot of texture. But since I am trying to make a lot of things for myself this year, and do things like that, then I would kind of like something with a little bit of textural interest, which I think this can provide. I have a couple patterns saved that I think could use this. I'm thinking of just kind of making myself a rather dramatic full black, kind of like not really a whole lot of detail, but maybe like some poofy sleeves and like a mock neck. And I don't know if I should like get another yarn to hold along with it, or should I just do 2 strands of mohair. I'm going to kind of, I guess, discover that as I'm, you know, trying things out for myself. Obviously I'm not going to start anything until I finish at least one of these projects. But I'm really excited for that, and if like, the yarn got a glowing review, so I'm hoping that it's not limited edition and it sticks around, because if this sweater turns out how I anticipate it turning out, I might want more. And I would love for them to expand their color range, because they didn't really have a whole lot of dark colors there, which I understand, because I think that most people who knit and crochet don't necessarily have the same style as I do, because I tend to like darken all of my like knits up. Like, I'll want to make a lot of the same things as like the more mainstream knitters are knitting, just like in darker colors, because I like that. So I'm really excited for that find, because yeah, it's exactly how I think it's going to be. It's going to be amazing. Okay, now I wanted to show y'all my haul from Frederick Fiber Festival, which was really great. I bought from one yarn shop because they just like had a whole wall of yarn that I wanted. I only bought 4 skeins, but I want to buy more. I just want to use up what I have first. So it was from Wool and Vinyl, and they do all of their yarns sort of just like based off of rock and roll and music and stuff. So I'll show you all kind of one skein at a time. This is their Hard Rock DK, and this, I'm trying to find the shade name. I think this might actually be in like a one-of-a-kind one, because this was in the sale section. So it's this beautiful purple. Case wanted me to get this so I can knit them like a hat and maybe like some matching fingerless gloves. I think that would be really, really cute for them. And I just love this purple. Honestly, if I have leftovers after making them a hat, I'm gonna make me a hat too, because purple is my favorite color, which you might not know because my hair is teal, but my hair is teal because teal is my second favorite color because it goes with purple so well. But yeah, this feels really, really nice. This is 100% superwash merino, 250 yards. And I'm so excited to work with this. And then I bought 3 others that I know exactly what I'm going to do with them, and I'm so excited. This is probably going to be my next project after I finish the newspaper sweater. So let me pull these out. So these are all in a fingering weight. This is the Classic Rock Sock. And so I got these 3 beautiful colors. I'm so excited for these colors. So this one is called Blinded by the Light, which is this beautiful, beautiful sort of neon orangey color. And then this is Iris, this bright neon pinky purple. And then this one is called Break My Stride, which is sort of like a light pastel-y with a hint of neon in there. And I am going to make these because I kind of just like wanted to pick a color scheme for myself while I was there. And then because I try and not buy yarn if I don't have like something in mind for it, but it was Frederick Fiber Fest and it was for my birthday. So I kind of let myself, you know, break a little bit of my rules, but I wanted to pick some that at least they kind of all went together. That way, if I wanted to make a big project out of like several things of it, then I would be able to do that. So I figured out what I want to do, and I saw that these would be perfect for the Doodler shawl by Stephen West, because I have just been obsessed with his stuff recently. I haven't really made a whole lot of his projects, but I just look at all of his stuff and I am so very impressed. And I noticed that he has like a lot of tutorials for all of the techniques that he uses, and generally he just gives me like cool art teacher vibes. And I know that a lot of his designs are like very out there and wild and abstract, but that's exactly what I love and what I love to make and what I love to wear. So I think these would look sort of fantastic as the Doodler shawl. So that's the other reason why I'm really pushing to like finish the newspaper pullover, because I also don't want to start another fingering weight project until I'm finished with that one, just because of how much it can like mess with my joints. And I don't want to have my joints any more messed up than they already are. So I'm only going to work on one fingering weight project at a time, but I'm so excited that I got these. These are 80% super washed, 20% nylon. I love these colors. I am so excited to make something out of this. And I guess in that way, sort of just like me buying this has pushed my other projects along because I have kind of been working on the newspaper pullover a whole lot extra now that I bought this, and I've given myself like the next project to think of once I finish it, and that I'm surprisingly for once in my life exercising self-control and not casting on something until I finish something else. So good for me. I got a fruit of the spirit there. I'm really, really excited. Okay, let's talk other things that I want to knit like in general this year. I have so much in my brain going on right now because I was making 2022 my year of selfish knitting, which I still feel like I very much am sticking to it just because I find myself like learning a lot of techniques that I otherwise wouldn't, because like I find that I don't knit myself as many things as I would like because a lot of them are more complex or require techniques that I don't know. And I've really been like, when I learned how to brioche, me kind of doing this sweater with the color work, when I'm not particularly used to doing that, I've really been trying to push myself out of my comfort zone so I can really make things that I like and I'm gonna wear a lot and are gonna stand the test of time. That's kind of where I have been finding myself this year. I did find a pattern though that I'm going to break my selfish knitting rule for. And that is the Dustland sweater by Stephen West, because it looks so fun to make. And it's not something I would wear at all. Like, it looks so cool and I love how it looks, but it's definitely not like a me sort of sweater, even if I were to make it in a bright color. But it looks like a case sweater, so I'm gonna knit it for them. So anyway, they're getting a sweater out of this because I think that that sweater would look really cool in maybe like a dusty purple sort of color, but I also want to do something a little bit like lighter so it shows off all of the cool like stitches in it. So I'm not 100% certain what I want to do, but I know that I want to make it simply because all of the stitches in it, like, look, it just looks so fun to make. I also really want to do maybe some Andrea Mowry patterns this year, because I had downloaded her Spark cardigan like in 2020 and I had started making it, and then I decided I didn't like the color scheme I chose like at all. So I would love to try and make that again in a color scheme that I really like, because I think that the pattern is like so fun and so cool and so color worky. So I think that I could make that look really nice for myself. I also just want to knit more cardigans in general because I get a lot of use out of cardigans regardless of season. So that's kind of what I am leaning towards. I also have some ideas. I mentioned this in probably my favorites video, but I've been obsessed with the Gay Pirate show recently, and I would really like to knit something.
You just say the Gay Pirate show.
Everyone knows what I'm talking about. Our flag means death.
It is a pretty amazing show.
Yes, and like I haven't fandomed this hard since like 2014 when I was a freshman in college. And I never anticipated fandoming this hard again, especially not as like a full-fledged adult now. But you know what? I'm embracing it. It's like the 2013, 2014 Tumblr era, but without the queer baiting. I have some ideas finally forming in my little head, because it's times like this when I do kind of wish I had kept up with drawing a little bit better. But now when I draw, I'm still very much where I was at in like high school, and I would love to get better, but as a former gifted kid, I have a hard time doing things that I'm not immediately perfect at. So I have not pursued that, but I have some knitting projects ideas. I'm not going to say what they are until I finish at least one, because with the idea I have, I might like make it into a pattern if other people would end up wanting to make it. If the one thing turns out how I want it to, then I might make it into a series. This is very vague, but I'm going to use the things that I know that I'm actually good at and make fan art that way in my own craft and my own medium. I feel like this show has caused like a fandom renaissance for like a lot of folks like me, in terms of they never expected to make fan art or fan fiction or fan anything, like, ever again, but now we're fully fledged adults and we're doing it. And I'm really excited for that. So, that is a project that is TBD. I have a tendency to run my mouth about things and not do them, but I'm going to make sure that I actually end up doing this, in that I put the yarn that in the colors that I want in my basket on yarn.com, and they're just waiting for me to pull the trigger on it. Okay, so that's kind of my main things. I have a couple other sweaters that I have the pattern saved that I can't remember the name of the patterns offhand, so I'm not going to say them, but expect a lot more sweaters for me for this year. I'm also going to put out there that I would love a good fun sock pattern, because my dad seemed to really like the socks that I knitted for him last Christmas, and I learned from that I hate sock knitting, but I love my dad. So I would like to make him another pair of socks this Christmas, and yes, I know it's only the middle of May, but I figure if I start now, and if I put out a call for fun sock patterns that my dad would like, I mean, y'all don't know him, but like, give me some dad socks, y'all. I want to make him something. And I think this time I'm going to use Magic Loop, because before I was using DPNs, and I don't like using DPNs at all, and I wish to never use them again in my life. But I'm wondering if maybe the Magic Loop sock method will make this a more enjoyable process for me. I still think that, at least for my own personal life, socks are too much effort for what I get out of them, especially because one of our cats, Ivy, has a tendency to steal all of my socks. Like, there are socks from previous places that we have lived in that have disappeared at those places. She has stashed them somewhere. They're probably still there, with someone else living in that place with my socks somewhere hidden by my cat.
Reaching up into the fireplace,
exactly,
and pulling out a wad of Ivy's toys and socks.
Yeah, like, I'm sure that she just, like, yeah, she has put them somewhere. I do not know where they are. I probably never will, so I'm never gonna knit socks for myself. But I would love to knit a pair of socks for my dad, so if you have any fun sock patterns that you think I should make for my dad, let me know. I'm very interested. And then I just want to shout out some knitting podcasts, because I've been watching a lot of knitting podcasts here recently, because they really, really help my mental health, because the world is garbage. But if I can just, like, watch other people talk about knitting while I'm knitting, it's really great. Because I also have a knitting group that I go to, or at least I try and go to every other week. But some days, just because of, like, chronic pain and fatigue, it's hard for me to get out of the house beyond, like, going to work and or the grocery store. So me watching knitting podcasts kind of makes me feel like I'm at a knitting group in person. So let's see, I've shouted her out before, but I love the M to the Third knitting podcast. She's probably one of my favorite knitting podcasters ever. I enjoy her stuff every single time it comes out. I have been watching the Night Sky knitting podcast. She is lovely, and I love, like, she and I have very different sort of senses of style when it comes to knitting, but I love looking at the things that she makes, because she makes very, like, beautiful kind of, I would say almost like cottagecore style knitting projects, and I absolutely love that. I think that she's so talented. Let's see, I recently got into watching the Harry knit, like, as in yesterday I found her channel, and I've been binge watching her videos as much as possible. I was watching her unpopular knitting opinions video first, because that was what came up in my YouTube subscription feed, and I was hooked ever since, because she had some good thoughts about, like, knitting and accessibility, and all of that, which I think, yeah, are really important, and really good to listen to. Let's see, who else have I been watching? I've been watching Stephen West and Andrea Mowry, because, like, of course I have. I feel like that's who everyone watches. in the knitting community because I love their designs so much, and they both seem like really lovely people. Yeah, I'm trying to remember the name of his podcast, but Jude Harper. I don't know if he would necessarily consider it like a podcast, but his YouTube channel in general, because he does indie dyeing and showing off his knitted projects, and he has a really cute cat. Yeah, I love his vlogs because he'll do like studio vlogs about like the things that he's making and dyeing and all of that, but also just like life vlogs, which like his channel has just like a very nice and relaxing vibe. And I'm really high strung in case you couldn't notice. So I need something with a relaxing vibe in my life, and he provides that for me. It's really great. So I've been filming for like almost an hour at this point, and I'm running out of steam. And I'm noticing this because of like my inability to like remember and or describe things. So I think this has to be it for me for the night, which is probably good because if I make any more of this, I'm editing Alex is gonna be really, really pissed at me. That was it for this podcast episode. I'm not going to make any guarantees as to when I'm going to film next because clearly that doesn't work. But if you enjoyed this, thank you so much for watching. Give it a thumbs up. That would be great. Subscribe if you want to see more videos from me, maybe. I don't know what future Alex is going to do. But anyway, thank you for watching. Thumbs up, subscribe, have a wonderful day, bye!